It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Welcome to a special edition of the Sam Lesante Show, folks. You know, we had the Republican convention, and we wanted to know what was going on behind the scenes at the Republican convention. Well, our Congressman Lou Barletta is here today to talk about what he experienced firsthand at the convention. Congressman, thanks for coming on the show.
Good to be here again, Sam.
First of all, it must be, as a congressman and coming from northeastern Pennsylvania, it must be a real honor for you to be asked, first of all, by the Trump family to go to the results that one night, where he won the 5 states in every county, and there you were there with Governor Christie. And then tell us what your involvement was in, for the convention.
Well, Sam, I had the honor of being invited to sit with the Trump family in their family box 2 times during the convention, which was great. Gave me an opportunity to see Eric and Donald Jr. and Ivanka and touch base with them. I also had an opportunity to talk with Mike Pence, who I served with my first 2 years when I first got to Congress. So that was the first time I saw him since he became the VP nominee. So it was exciting to be able to share that with them. I was in the box the night that Donald, on Thursday, accepted the nomination. So there was a lot of excitement. I had an opportunity to talk to others that were in the family box as well.
What do you talk about?
Well, you know, I sat next to a woman who was the head of his diversity issues in the company, in the Trump organization. So I met a lot of people in the Trump organization, and I got to hear about the person of what Donald Trump is like, behind the scenes. And it was really fascinating because no matter who I talked to, they all had the same stories of, this is a man that gets to know you, and very personable, caring, things that he'll do for you, getting involved. I mean, you wouldn't believe somebody in charge of such a big organization would get down into the personal lives of the people that work for him. But it was amazing. Everyone I talked to couldn't say enough about Donald Trump, the man. So it was exciting. And then they had asked me to be a surrogate speaker for him during the week to different state delegations. So I spoke to Nevada delegation, West Virginia, Delaware, and others. They then asked also if I would, along with Tom Marino, introduce Mike Pence. Mike Pence was a surprise guest to the Pennsylvania delegation, which again shows, and I'll talk a little bit about that, about how they view Pennsylvania in this race. But Mike Pence went to one state to speak, and that was Pennsylvania, and they had myself and Tom Marino introduce him. So we had a big role to play during the convention, and it was very, very exciting. Pennsylvania was front and center on the floor, so it was a good week.
When you're some of the issues, well, first of all, was there a lot of demonstrators?
No, in fact,
I guess the liberal press were disappointed about that.
Yeah, I didn't see them actually. They talk about all the chaos that was going on. They might have been previewing the Democratic convention that's going on right now, because not only was there not chaos, but the unity of the party and the people coming together was really incredible. And I think Donald Trump knocked it out of the park Thursday night when he talked about America first, and talking about being proud here in America. And I'll tell you, he gave a terrific speech that I think made you want to, he just energized everybody about America again.
You know what I know he gave? I thought it was great, but of course they say I'm siding Trump. Well, I am, because I think he's the person for the country. But anyway, I want to talk about the fact that I knew he did a good job when I saw the pain in the face of the ABC, CBS, and NBC broadcasters have to say, well, he delivered a good speech. And I could see the pain in their hearts to deliver that. Okay, And of course, the love fest has already begun with the Democrats. So, you know, Lou, I need to ask you. Well, you know, when you look at, you try to be objective. You really do. Okay. And I'm sure Mrs. Clinton, as a person, is a nice person. I mean, as a nice person. But when you look at her background and you look at what they're talking about and what you've seen, I don't know if this is the kind of president we want. I mean, you know, the Benghazi, the emails, and then of course the meeting of Clinton, the president, and Lynch, you know, on the airport. You know, they said they didn't talk about it. You remember your Italian father and mother, when they looked at you a certain way, they didn't have to talk. You knew exactly what they meant. And so maybe they didn't talk about specifics, but the reason that the meeting, I think, this is only my opinion, is the message was sent. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think the President of the United States should be able to pass a background check. Right now, Hillary Clinton would not be able to pass a background check because of what she did with her emails, lied to the American people. I don't know how you can be promoted to the highest office in the country when you have literally lied to the American people about the emails, about not receiving any classified information. Nothing was listed as classified. None of that was true. The Benghazi, the whole Benghazi detail, where 4 Americans died, and they lied to the American people of what she knew and when she knew, and at a time in our country, in our country's history, where the American people seem to be rising and distrust Washington so much, do we want to elect somebody who literally lied to Congress, looked into the camera, lied to the American people?
How did she get away with this?
There's 2 sets of rules. There's,
how do you do this?
Somebody said that, maybe everyone needs to change their name to Clinton, so that you have a different set of rules. That nobody else would have been able to get away with that. There were cases. There was a Marine who was punished for accidentally taking classified papers, cleaning out his desk, took them home. He was punished. I have taken an oath, because I'm on the Homeland Security Committee. I have taken an oath that I cannot share any information that is given to me in a classified setting, or else it's punishable by jail. Nobody else would do this. Petraeus was punished. She was the Secretary of State, and to have all of those secrets, top secret information out there. I mean, just look at what's just happened just this week with the emails and Nancy, Debbie Wasserman Schultz with the DNC, where they're saying that the Russians hacked the DNC.
It's the blame game again.
Right, the Russians did it.
Yeah.
Well, if the Russians care so much about what the Democrats are doing with the convention, they must have been having a field day with Hillary Clinton's emails, taking top secret information that have put not only our men and women in the military at risk, their lives at risk, but our entire country, to put their lives at risk. And do you want to promote that person who knowingly lied to us and got away with it as a president?
When you and I want to talk about energy, and I want to talk about the platform of what they have. But when you talk about when you went to the delegations, okay, and we get back to immigration, all right, and here again, I think people think that you do not like Hispanic people, okay. Well, you have a son-in-law who is Hispanic,
grandson,
right? Yeah,
and son-in-law.
And son-in-law. Okay, so now we look at what is specifically you saying about immigration, and what is Trump saying about immigration?
Well, that's one of the issues that the Trump campaign has asked me to issue a policy paper on, as well as transportation. And the message is very simple. I am probably, and my message is probably the most pro-immigrant message in America. A message that says that we should give immigrants, Latino, regardless of where you come from, anywhere in the world, the opportunity that America offers. And that's a better job, to earn more money, a better education, all the opportunities that our grandparents and great-grandparents had when they came to America. We are stealing that opportunity away from immigrants by allowing people to just cross the border, no checks, no background checks, no medical checks, no history, it doesn't matter. Come here and hop the line, get in front of them, make it harder for the immigrants to get a job, make it harder for immigrants to earn more money, make it harder for immigrants' children to get a better education. How is that fair? How is that anti-immigrant? This is the media's way of trying to shut you down when you want to stand up for the rights of people that respect the rule of law. And I think if there's one difference in this whole campaign is you have one candidate, Donald Trump, who said we are going to respect the rule of law in America. Again, we're not going to turn people away as long as you abide by the rules that we live by, that our ancestors live by, and we are not going to be afraid and turn our heads and let people sneak in, reject the rule of law here, and take away opportunities. So that's old news. What they did with me when I was first mayor and took that stand here. I had to fight that. It's no longer. I have so much support from immigrants who come up to me and thank me, and Hispanics who come up and thank me and say thank you for standing up for us.
Yeah. Now, before we go to break, I don't have the statistics. Maybe you do. Do you think the Hispanic population is better off now than they were 8 years ago?
Well, I don't know, Sam, because of how many people we've allowed to come in to compete for their jobs and to make their education harder for their children. I think it's clear that we want to make sure that people that come to America have a better life than they had where they came from. That's what America is all about, and we want to ensure that. But how do you do that? How do you do that when again, you're putting them at risk because of the threat of terrorists that are coming in because we're not securing our borders? How do you say we're doing the right thing by anybody, Hispanic or Caucasian? Doesn't matter where you are or where you came from. How is it better when we have not sealed the borders and we have allowed all the drugs that is now this heroin that has now become an epidemic in America? How do we say that we are better off today than we were 8 years ago? Of course we're not. We're not as safe, we're not as secure. Drugs are rampant. There's human trafficking going on. There's ISIS right here in the United States. Our jobs are going all over the place. Anybody who believes that things are better now than they were, that they feel safer, more secure, and their future looks better, the polls obviously show that nobody believes that.
Before I go, I just want you to know I have a very great relationship, as you know, with the Hispanic community here. We were one of the first to have Hispanic news. And I asked them openly, how do you feel about the presidential election being Hispanic, okay? And the Hispanics who are citizens, okay, echo the same thing you say, okay? Say he's trying to do the right thing to make it legal for everybody and helps us out because there's Hispanic people here been here for 20-some years, Lou, that are raising their families.
That's right, and that's what America's supposed to do, right? Roll out the welcome mat for people who want to come, respect the rule of law, make this their home, and learn the language, assimilate. That's what America is about. It's about people coming from all over the world, assimilating into the American way of life here and being proud of our country, not to be part of a group. It's insulting I believe to Hispanics to say that they're more concerned if they came here to America legally for that opportunity. They're more concerned about people who snuck in ahead of them, that they would actually defend that over the way of life that they want, a better way of life that they want for their children. It's just the media's way of trying to shut you down when you try to talk about it is not good. Illegal immigration is not good for America. No way, no how. There's no benefit to it, not to Hispanics, not to American citizens, and not to the world when we're allowing people to just come here and really diminish America's way of life.
You've seen this and you're still seeing it, but isn't it our job in the media, okay? Even though I have the shows and I present certain things about, like here's Conley running for congressman, and he was on the show, and I invited Cartwright. Don't necessarily agree, but however, I give them the opportunity. But isn't it sad when you see the media being so slanted, okay? And there was a remark made last night on one of the broadcast stations where a person called and said, why don't you give the same amount of coverage that you do when you say all the negatives about Trump, but you don't say anything about Clinton, okay? And I don't understand what their objective is. I'm sure that they were paying them again to show the DNC and the crowds out there protesting, okay, way more than what they thought. I guess they were hoping it would happen to Trump, but it didn't even happen. So I don't understand that, Lou. I mean, you live with that every day.
They don't even hide it anymore, Sam.
Yeah,
it's not even a point where, there was a time when it was almost like the dirty little secret, but they don't even hide it anymore. It's blatant. It's just blatant, and unfortunately.
What is their motive? I mean, like, when you look at all the wrong and everything that is happening in this country, and that the people are so fed up, they're saying, I don't care what the media tells us anymore. We see it happening, okay? You saw it with immigration. Trump saw it, okay? How many millions, and she still continues to spend millions against, showing the different things about Trump. I mean, I don't know. I mean, where does it go, Lou?
Well, unfortunately, it sways elections, and it makes it harder for the American people to really see, where both candidates are, and to make a good choice. But again, Sammy, I think this election is different than any election that we've ever seen, where the American people are taking back their government. They don't care what the media has to tell them. They don't care what any politicians in Washington have to tell them. They don't believe it. They don't believe their life is better. And they could give them all that biased junk that they want to give them. The American people are taking back their government. The silent majority is not silent right now.
No, and you want to talk about sway. When we come back, I want to talk about the Scranton situation, okay? And when you talk about swaying the people and they're not buying it, I heard at the convention that the African Americans have more people unemployed now than what they did when Obama came in. Is that correct?
Well, it is, Sam. And not only that, I think go deeper than that. Nearly 50%, it may even be 50% of African Americans are not graduating from high school.
Yeah.
What opportunities do they have? How is life going to get easier if we're not making sure everybody gets a good education? So are they better off right now? And are we doing the right thing as a country in making sure that people, if we want to lift people up and we want to lift them out of poverty, the best thing we could do is educate, make sure they get an education. Why are we keeping them? I mean, these are the things Donald Trump talks about. Why are we keeping people in failing schools? Imagine you're a black family in Philadelphia. You want to try to get your son or daughter a better life in America, but they're in a school that they have no chance of getting a better education. Why should we deny those parents from taking their kids and getting their kids in a better school?
You said to me once, and I use it all the time, how do you vote against Santa Claus? And sometimes you don't know whether it's planned to be that way, because the more dependent you are on the government, the more they're going to vote for you, okay? So how do you vote? And maybe it's a planned thing. They talk a good game, but they want these people dependent on the government. This is only my opinion, but they want them dependent on the government.
And if you're dependent on the government,
yeah,
the only place higher you're going to go in life is that ceiling that the government puts on you, keeps you exactly in the state of, your status in life as to where you are. You can't get to the top floor from the basement by throwing rocks at people up there. You got to get them on an elevator, Sammy, and get them out of the basement and get them up on the top floor too.
Folks, a special edition of the Sam Lesante Show. Congressman Barletta is here. We have one break on this show because I think it's very important for us to get information. Now, for you people in Scranton, in the Scranton area, we're on Comcast 190. I want to talk a little bit about what's going on in the Scranton area and the people and how sometimes we can become swayed. Stay with us. Welcome Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show Special Edition. Folks, my guest, Congressman Lou Barletta. Remember, folks, in Scranton area, Comcast 190, Saturday and Sunday mornings 8 to 12. Pottsville area, we're on every day on Channel 190. Comcast up here in northeastern Pennsylvania, in the Service Electric Cable Vision, we're on every day, 513 and Channel 13. And, of course, Wilkes-Barre, Kingston and Mountaintop, Channel 92. Lou, when we talk about swaying, okay, now, first of all, I think the northeastern Pennsylvania people are fantastic. They've been always great to us. But, I feel sorry for the people in the Scranton area. I'll tell you why. Because, they say, Clinton's family and Biden's there, and I understand that. I mean, they grew up and they're family members, okay? But when you look at what, and maybe I'm wrong, okay? When you look at what Hillary Clinton said, she said, correct me if I'm wrong, we're going to put the coal business we want to put the coal people out of business. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Right. So now you have a congressman, Cartwright, okay, who is a full supporter of Clinton. So if you're supporting someone who says, I want to put the coal business out of business, okay, I don't understand that. Before you comment, the second thing is, Scranton, Pennsylvania is the seat of the Catholic diocese, okay? And as a Catholic, I am very pro-life. Now, you are pro-choice, that's your bit. But however, pro-life, Clinton is certainly not pro-life. She's pro-choice, which means up to 20 weeks or whatever, you could get unwanted children, get rid of them. Cartwright supports that. Supports Clinton, who supports that. I don't understand this.
Well, when we talk about coal in America and putting coal companies out of business, I take that personally, because this is the heart of the coal industry, and I know so many families who are dependent on coal, and the fact of the matter is that anthracite coal is a very hot commodity right now. We should be promoting that, and the last thing we want to hear coming from this part of the country is a presidential candidate pointing their finger at us and saying, I'm going to put you out of business, and really take away those opportunities. That's not something that I endorse at all, and I think, again, as I said, I take that personally, and again, being somebody who is pro-life, that I make sure that my voting record, regardless of who's running for president, as a member of Congress, you have the opportunity every time you take that vote that has to do with life or not, where you stand. So I have a 100% voting record for life, and I'm going to continue whether Hillary Clinton's president or Donald Trump's president. That's a personal decision that each member of Congress
when you talk about records, okay, and this is what you hear Obama saying, and I don't know if he's still living in this country or where his head is. He says how great it is, how wonderful we are, and that we need Hillary Clinton to continue this on. Again, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe you're missing something. I don't know. But when you look at the people in Scranton who certainly are proud of the fact that the Clinton. However, it's like a surgeon who's messed up a lot of operations, and they live in Scranton. Okay, he's a good surgeon, but look at his record. I mean, he's had a very bad record with his surgeries, but he's a nice person. Do I want him to operate on me? Okay, so I look at that with Clinton. I look at it, and I think Joe Biden is a great person. Okay, really, I think he comes from a great family. But however, what have they done? And we see this. And hopefully some of it will come out. I know it's going to be a difficult task for NBC, CBS, and ABC to present that. And I told Congressman Connolly, you just watch the news from now until election. You weigh how many times there'll be a pro thing for Trump and how many pro things for Clinton, how many negatives for Trump. And I'll bet you it'll be like this. They'll pound Trump as much as they can. But you know what the people are saying? I think, Lou, the more the media comes out and does that, the more the people get frustrated with that media.
They're getting angrier, and northeastern Pennsylvania, in particular, is going to be focused in this entire election. When I hear President Obama just the other day give a speech that things aren't as bad as people are saying that it is, that it's safer, and he said our immigration policies, our immigration system is at work, and I see what's happening. Sam, I saw a poll over 70-some% of the American people said the country's going in the wrong direction. And I found out where the other 25% are. They're all in Washington. They're all there. They think things are great. I mean, maybe they are great from his, from his perspective, but Americans don't feel that way. When you see what's just happening in Germany and around the world, do you think this is going to stop? They have been unable to stop this threat to the point where the threat has marched itself right over here into our country right here itself.
Do you think, I have a lot of friends, I think I have a lot of friends who are Democrats and the ideological Democrats. I mean, they are staunch, and like Lucifer could run for, and they will vote for her, not vote for Republican. And I think that's wrong on both sides. I think a Republican, you shouldn't just vote for Republican, etc. However, for example, like John Udechak, great Democrat, great person. Okay. How do you, especially veterans, when I see veterans today saying, do you see what this administration did to you? How could you possibly, just look at logic. How could they possibly support a person like Clinton who has done, the administration has done so much harm to the veteran? If I'm correct, I don't know, I stand to be corrected.
Well, when you have veterans dying, waiting in line in this country, I don't think there's a bigger disgrace. And if President Obama or Hillary Clinton, why they wouldn't be on the news every day saying we're not going to stop until this is fixed? It's like business as usual. It's like, these things that shake us up, that we hear things like a veteran, people who served our country and were willing to die, come home and die waiting in line for health care. And it's like, we just go on and it's business as usual. It's to the next thing and to the next thing. American people have had it. That's why I got behind Donald Trump. I've had it. I've been in Washington long enough to know that.
You've been fighting from day one, and so you weren't probably the most popular, especially when you came out and supported Trump. I got a minute left. Am I correct in hearing that when Trump said for the veterans, you can go to any hospital, any doctor, is that what he's...
That's what he's saying, and you should. If you cannot be seen, no veteran should wait in line when they need to be seen. What is wrong with a veteran? If you're in Cleveland, I was just in Cleveland, there's the Veterans Administration there, and right there next to it's the Cleveland Clinic, one of the greatest hospitals in America. Why should a veteran have to wait when they could? I mean, this is a promise we should give the men and women who are willing to sacrifice their lives for our freedoms. The least we can do is make sure we take care of them when they come home.
Well, anyway, I appreciate you coming on the show, and I'll tell you, if you were a Democrat, I'd say the fact that you have been honored by the Trump family, and even if it was reversed, to be able to be in that position of power. When I say power, the fact that they are using you and asking you for your advice, which affects the entire country.
Well, it's going to be good for Pennsylvania, Sam.
Oh, yes.
And for our constituents back home to be able to have an open line to the White House should Donald Trump become president.
So all of your colleagues are coming to you now, and Marino, huh? They're all coming. Hey, Lou, can you help us out? Okay?
It's good for us here.
Yeah. Folks, for you people in the Scranton area, great. You've been very responsive to our shows. All I ask you to do is, and I've invited Congressman Cartwright on the show. I wish he would come on to explain, how we could support people who want to put people out of business, like the coal industry. And then he says he's pro-life, but his actions don't show that. I want to be proven wrong on that. But I want to thank you, Congressman, for coming on the show.
Sam.
It's a special edition of Sam Lesante Show. Remember, you can watch all of our shows 24/7. My email, sam@ssptv.com. We'll see you next time.